Hi everybody, welcome to foodiegourmets.com. Today we are going to be doing a great Italian dish of osso buco. All right, hi folks. As you know, we're doing osso buco this week, and really classic northern Italian dish. They have this in Milan, the Malaysia area. What we traditionally are going to use is going to be veal, but I keep grass-fed beef in my freezer, and I thought I had a couple packages of beef shanks, and I thought what would be a great use for this would be osso buco. So what we're going to get started with is over here on the stove and get these on a little saute. So I've got a reasonably small pan here. I'm going to do this in 2 batches. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on to about medium high, maybe a tick under because this is a pretty strong stove. I've got a combination of olive oil and butter, so you get a little bit of flavor from the butter, and you don't want to use only butter because what happens is the smoke point is so low that you can't get it hot enough to get a good, to cook your meat very well. It ends up being just too low. So we're going to give this just a moment to get going here. So as you can see here, got my butter and olive oil going here. It's coming up to temperature. I'm going to turn that temperature on down just a little bit because what I want to do here is pat these nice and dry. We're just going to put just a little bit, not too much. A little salt, a little pepper. Give that a little, tap that in a little bit. Flip these over. Again, pepper, keeping an eye on my pan, getting a little bit hot there, so we'll just give that a little stir. Got our salt. Again, tap. Get this a nice little, make sure you get the edges too, because we do want to get just a little bit of flour everywhere. We are gonna shake this off because we don't want to get it too much in there. Probably come up on my temperature a little bit more here. I can hear a nice little sizzle going on there. Again, edges, around, shake it off a little bit here. One more. And our last one. All right, while this first set is going to go here, I'm just going to go ahead and get the rest of my shanks dried off here and ready to go. Get it nice and cooked down a little bit, get some nice flavor going, and we're just really going to throw it all together in the crock pot or the slow cooker. All right, I've got another plate here, so once these are brown on both sides, I can pull them off and do my second batch. So let's just take a look here and see how these are going. Got a little bit of brown. I could probably go a little bit longer here because again, in the slow cooker, with all the tomato and all the vegetables and everything, it's not really going to get any browner in the slow cooker. So you've got to do your braising, your searing, whatever you're doing. If you're going to cook in a slow cooker, crock pot, you got to do all your browning on the stove ahead of time because you're not going to get any of that in the slow cooker. We've got 3 cloves of garlic. I'm going to go ahead and just get these a quick little chop here. I already did my onions, my carrots, and my celery ahead of time. What you would normally think of that is a mirepoix would be 50% onions, and then the rest would be celery and carrot. The Italian version is more 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. And in Cajun cooking, things like that, you may see instead of celery using green pepper, and then sometimes that's called the Holy Trinity. So Italian 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Onions, carrots, celery. Now that I've talked to you a little bit, I need to flip these over. Again, we don't want to burn anything. You can always go a little bit longer. It's really hard to go back in time and uncook something. And one more. Oh yeah, got some nice brown going on here. And on the bottom of the pan here, we've got what's called fond, and we're going to deglaze that with some wine get our vegetables going, and all that nice flavor that's in the bottom there is going to come up into our sauce. So while that's going, I'm just going to go ahead and cut a little bit of my garlic. Your second side is not going to take as long as your first because the veal shank has come up to temperature a little bit here, so you want to make sure you don't overcook the second side. See, as a matter of fact there, you can see the second side took much less time. So that one's pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and pull that guy off. Check this one. It's not too bad. Again, we're not cooking the whole thing because you can see here it's certainly not cooked in the middle. So we're going to cook these for about 4 hours on low in our crock pot, so we're just worrying about doing the sear right now. So that's good to go. Salt and pepper. Need to do a quick little bit of both on these guys. You could also put your salt and pepper right in your flour, but I think this way, and then kind of giving it a little pat there, tends to stay with the meat a little bit longer. Turn my flame down just a little bit. Again, don't want anything burned there. We want to keep that nice fond for our sauce. A little salt, a little pepper. Oop. Definitely coming up to temperature there, so let's hurry up and get this guy on. There's one. As soon as we get some meat in there, we can go ahead and bring the temperature back up. And just a little bit. And our third piece. Go ahead. And let's go ahead and check these again. Nice hot pan's going to take a little bit less time. A little bit more. That's got just a little bit of brown on the edge there, but this is a pretty big piece. Got that nice big bone in the center there with that marrow that's going to come out in the sauce as it slow cooks. That's going to be really nice. So that's a pretty good chop on my garlic here. I'm just going to set this aside because as soon as those beef shanks come out, I'm going to get my vegetables right in there because we want to take advantage of that hot pan. Wipe my hand off here real quick and give these a flip. Oh yeah. Again, we talked about we're going to be throwing some vegetables in here to do the base of our sauce. I've got onion, just pretty much a medium dice. It's probably about a 1/4 inch here. Onion, celery, carrot, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Just figured you guys are tired of seeing me chop things by now, so I went ahead and prepped this right before we started. Got that. We've got our garlic. Got a bay leaf. Put that in there. And then we're going to also be using a cup of white wine. We're not using red because as this cooks down and concentrates, you really don't want to have an overpowering wine flavor, even though you would think, okay, it's red meat, red wine. We're actually going to use white. Check these one more time. Yeah, maybe just a little bit longer. We got some nice color right here, but on this side, not so much. Tell you what, let's get a couple of these plates out of the way. I think we're going to go ahead and pull these off. Just setting these aside. Now you can see here my pan is pretty dry. So because we're going to start cooking down our vegetables, I'm going to hit this with just a little bit of olive oil. Just a little bit more, just to have something for those vegetables to cook in. Not a lot, maybe half a tablespoon. It's starting to warm up already. And in go all of our vegetables. I'm going to turn this down because I want to get these translucent. I don't want to get tons and tons of color on them. I'm going to go ahead and throw in my garlic and my bay leaf right now. See, I'm using the same set of tongs. My wife likes that. No more dishes to wash. Nice and colorful. So we're just going to keep an eye on these. These are going to go for probably about 7 to 10 minutes. Again, until the onions are translucent, everything's nice and soft. We'll come back in just a few minutes to check on them. Tick, 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 tick. Our vegetables have gone about 7 minutes here. You can see that they are, the onions especially, are a little bit translucent. They're not transparent, but translucent. Again, we're going to cook this a long time, 4 hours in a crock pot. So if you just cook the hell out of them here, what you're going to end up with just is mush. So you don't want to overcook things at this point. So I am ready to deglaze my pan here. I've got a cup, again, of dry white wine. Nice sound, huh? Now we're going to go in here, turn up our heat just a little bit because we are going to want this to come up to a little bit of a simmer. I'm going on the bottom here and I'm scraping up the fond, we called it. That's where a lot of that flavor is. And also the flour that came off of the beef shanks, that's going to help thicken our sauce as it cooks as well. Don't want to cook it down entirely. Now we've got a can of diced tomatoes. Go ahead and put those in here. I'm using, it's labeled as Italian style. It's got a little bit of herb in it. It's the same weight, it's the same price. Why not save yourself a step? It's got, you know, some basil, some oregano, some thyme. Might as well use that as opposed to just plain. Go ahead and stir this up. And these larger pieces of tomato are definitely going to break down in the slow cooker. A little bit more of a stir, get all this incorporated. And lastly, we need a cup of beef stock. You can see this nice pan. The pan was hot, so everything has come up to temperature pretty fast there. And one last thing we're going to do is we're going to put just a little bit of salt and a little more pepper. I've said it before, I'm a pepper fan, so I'm going to use a fair amount of pepper in here as well. I have a tendency as a chef to probably use a little less salt, a little not enough salt compared to what other chefs would use, but that's just the way I cook. You know, you certainly are going to salt and pepper this to taste. See, the sauce is really thin. As this cooks over 4 hours, it's really going to tighten up and it's going to be a great pan sauce. Got our beef shanks ready to go, so let's go ahead and get our crock pot slow cooker fired up. Make sure we turn off our stove. We're going to cook this again on low. We don't want to go too fast. We don't want to make up time and try to do our slow cooker on high for, you know, an hour and a half, 2 hours, as opposed to a nice gentle 4-hour cook. Again, got to be real aware of the kind of cut we're using. So we're going to go over here and we're going to try to be very careful as to not dump this on ourselves. There we go. Got our shanks. I'm going to go ahead and put these in here. I'm going to layer these in here. I want to make sure that there's plenty of contact. I may actually flip these up on end just to make sure that they get in there well. Go ahead and put the lid on, and tell you what, we're going to check this in a couple hours just to see what it looks like, rearrange the meat, and see how we're doing.